Good morning, dear students. Now let us move on to our next module, that is catalysis and photochemistry. Okay. So what do you mean by catalysis? See here, before started studying this catalysis, you have to know what do you mean by a catalyst. Okay. What do you mean by a catalyst? What is a catalyst? A catalyst, it is a chemical substance, isn't it? A chemical substance which alters the rate of a chemical reaction. Catalyst, it is a chemical substance which alters or which changes the rate of a chemical reaction without itself undergoing any chemical change. So that particular chemical substance or that particular catalyst will not undergo any chemical change while it is in a reaction mixture. Okay. So we can define catalyst as a chemical substance which can alter or which can change the rate of a chemical reaction without itself undergoing any chemical change. Okay. Without itself undergoing any chemical change. That is what is called as a catalyst. Okay. So this phenomenon of altering the rate of a chemical reaction, that is the phenomenon, it is called as catalysis. That is a chemical reaction which is going on in the presence of a catalyst. That particular phenomenon we can call it as catalysis. Okay. So hope you are clear with this catalyst and catalysis. And also see, while what is the purpose of adding a catalyst? Normally we are using catalyst in our labs. We are using this catalyst for enhancing or for increasing the rate of a chemical reaction, isn't it? A catalyst, it is used to increase the rate of a chemical reaction. See, similarly, for some of the reactions, the speed of the reaction or the rate of a reaction can be decreased with the help of a catalyst. So catalyst in particular, we can use it for increasing the rate of a reaction. At the same time, in some reactions, this catalyst can be used for decreasing the rate of a chemical reaction. And see, the catalyst which is used for increasing or enhancing the rate of a reaction, it is called as a positive catalyst. Okay, the catalyst which is used for increasing the rate of a reaction, it is called as a positive catalyst, while the catalyst which is used for decreasing the rate of a reaction, it is called as a negative catalyst. It is called as a negative catalyst. And also here, while using this positive catalyst, that phenomenon, we can it is called as catalysis, or it is called as catalysis. Okay, while we are using a positive catalyst, the reaction or the phenomenon, it is called as catalysis. And while we are using negative catalyst for decreasing the rate of a reaction, it is called as the phenomenon, it is called as negative catalysis. The phenomenon, it is called as negative catalysis. Okay, so we can go through some of the examples. For example, N2 plus 3H2 giving 2NH3, that is the manufacture of ammonia. See, what is the manufacture of ammonia? The process, it is called as Haber's process, isn't it? Manufacture of ammonia by Haber's process. Here in this reaction, we are using iron as a positive catalyst. See here, iron is acting as a positive catalyst. Iron acts as a positive catalyst. So usually in Haber's process, we are using iron as a positive catalyst. And again, another example, the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, it decomposes to give water as well as oxygen. Okay, decomposition of hydrogen peroxide to give water and oxygen. And again, in this reaction, see here, we are using glycerol. And here in this reaction, this glycerol acts as a negative catalyst. That means it slows down the reaction. Okay, so here this glycerol acts as a negative catalyst. So these are the two examples for this positive as well as negative catalyst. Then the next term we have to go through is this homogeneous and heterogeneous catalysis. Homogeneous catalysis, two terms are there, homogeneous and also heterogeneous. Homogeneous as well as heterogeneous catalysis. See, in some of the reactions, see, in some cases, normally what happens is that this catalyst or the reaction mixture, see, two reactants will be there and a catalyst will be there. And if the reactants and the catalyst, see, we are considering the case of reactants as well as the catalyst. And in this case, if the reactants and the catalyst, if they are in the same phase means if both the sometimes the reactants may be in the liquid state, and also at the same time this catalyst will also be in the liquid phase. Okay, that means both the reactants as well as the catalyst, they are in the same phase. Such type of catalysis we can call it as the homogeneous catalysis. Okay, so homogeneous, the word homo means same, isn't it? So the catalytic process in which the reactants as well as the catalyst, if they are in the same phase, they are called as homogeneous catalysis. Okay, example, see, oxidation of sulfur dioxide, SO2, sulfur dioxide, SO2 plus O2 in presence of nitric oxide, NO, that acts as a catalyst, giving the reaction will be the product will be SO3 sulfur dioxide plus this catalyst, it is regenerated. Okay, see here this sulfur dioxide, what is sulfur dioxide? It is in the gaseous form. Then again oxygen, it is also in the gaseous state. Then nitric oxide, it is also in the gaseous form. That means here the reactant sulfur dioxide, oxygen, and the catalyst nitric oxide, both of them are in the same phase. So this is an example for a homogeneous catalysis. Okay, so this is an example for homogeneous catalysis. So here all of the reactants as well as the products, they are not products, they are in the catalyst, they are in the same phase. Okay, then the next one, another example, hydrolysis of cane sugar. Okay, hydrolysis of cane sugar. Hydrolysis of cane sugar, see for example C12H22O11, this is cane sugar or sucrose. Hydrolysis means addition of water in the presence of sulfuric acid. See this cane sugar, this is in the liquid form, water again liquid form, sulfuric acid again in the liquid form. The products are glucose and fructose, C6H12O6 plus C6H12O6. Okay, this is glucose and fructose. See, the molecular formula for glucose as well as fructose are the same, but the structural formula are different. So you have to write it separately. Do not write it as 2 C6H12O6. C6H12O6. It has to be written as C6H12O6 plus C6H12O6. Glucose and fructose, they have got the same molecular formula, but the structural formula is different. Okay. So this is another example for a homogeneous catalysis. Okay. So these are the two examples for homogeneous catalysis where the reactants as well as the catalyst, they are in the same phase. Okay. Then the next one we can go through the heterogeneous catalysis. Heterogeneous catalysis. Okay, see here what will be the difference between homogeneous and heterogeneous. Here the reactants as well as the catalyst, we are considering the reactants as well as the catalyst, both of them are in different phases. Okay, the reactants as well as the catalyst, they are in different phases. So such type of catalysis we can call it as heterogeneous catalysis. That means if the reactants, they are in the solid phase and the catalyst may be in the gaseous phase, or the reactants, it can be in the liquid form or in the gaseous form. Okay, so such type of catalysis we can call it as heterogeneous catalysis. So here they are on the reactants as well as the catalysts are in different phases. So this heterogeneous catalysis, or we can say another name for heterogeneous catalysis, that is called as the contact catalysis. Okay, contact catalysis. Then we can go through some of the examples. For example, 2SO2 plus O2, oxidation of sulfur dioxide in presence of platinum. So here platinum acts as the catalyst. The product will be SO3 sulfur trioxide gas plus platinum. Okay. See here this sulfur dioxide in the gaseous form, oxygen in the gaseous form. but this platinum, it is in the solid phase, isn't it? So the reactants as well as the catalyst, both of them are in different phases. Okay. Then the next one, another example, N2 plus 3H2, again manufacture of ammonia in the to form 2NH3 in the presence of iron. Here these two are in the gaseous phase, but iron, it is in the solid form. So it is an example, another example for heterogeneous catalysis. Then the next one, we can go through another definition, that is promoters as well as anti-catalyst. Okay, then promoters. See, this promoter means some of the reactions will be taking place in the presence of a catalyst, and those chemical substances, though itself it is not a catalyst, but it enhances or it promotes the activity of a catalyst. Okay, or those chemical substances which promotes the activity of a catalyst, or which promotes the activity of a catalyst, it is called as a promoter. Okay, so though it is not, these promoters, they will not be a catalyst, but they promote the activity of a catalyst, or it will be enhancing the activity of a catalyst. Such substances we can call it as a promoter. Okay, so example, N2 plus 3H2 giving 2NH3. See here, iron, it is used as a catalyst, isn't it? See here, iron acts as the catalyst, and in this reaction, see, we are adding molybdenum, MO, molybdenum or alumina, Al2O3, aluminium oxide, Al2O3. See here, molybdenum or aluminium oxide we are adding to this reaction mixture. And this molybdenum or aluminium oxide, it promotes the activity of this catalyst iron. Okay, this molybdenum, it will be promoting the activity of the catalyst iron. So such substances we can call it as promoters. So here in this reaction, iron is acting as the catalyst and molybdenum acts as the promoter. Okay. Then another term, another definition, another term is also there. They are called as the anti-catalyst. Anti-catalyst. See here, anti-catalyst means it destroys the activity of a catalyst. The previous one, it promotes the activity of a catalyst, but an anti, the word anti means it is against, isn't it? Against catalyst. So this anti-catalyst means it destroys the activity of a catalyst. Destroys the activity of catalyst. Such substances are called as anti-catalyst, or another term is there, it is called as catalytic poison. Catalytic poison. Okay, anti-catalyst or catalytic poison, and the process, it is called as catalytic poisoning. So simply we can say that poisoning. So this catalytic poisoning means it will be destroying the activity of catalyst. Example, in the oxidation of sulfur dioxide in the previous reaction, SO2 plus O2, 2SO2 plus O2 giving 2SO3. See here, in this oxidation of sulfur dioxide, if it is arsenic oxide, As2O3, if it is present in this particular reaction mixture, it will be acting as an anti-catalyst. Okay, this substance will be acting as an anti-catalyst. So anti-catalyst as well as promoters, these definitions are important. This will be asking in your section A part or section B part for 2 mark question, or it can be for 1 mark. Okay, so promoters means it promotes the activity of a catalyst, while anti-catalyst or catalytic poison means it destroys the activity of a catalyst. Then the next term, it is the autocatalysis. Autocatalysis. See here, autocatalysis means, see, in some of the reactions, one of the products of the reaction itself acts as a catalyst. Okay, and again for that particular reaction, that product itself acts as the catalyst. That is what is called as autocatalysis. Okay, and autocatalysis, for example, the oxalic acid, it is oxidized by using potassium permanganate. Okay, so you have to write down the equation, 5H2C2O4 oxalic acid. H2C2O4 is oxalic acid. Okay, COOH. This is oxalic acid, plus 2 KMNO4 plus 3 H2SO4 giving 2MnSO4 plus K2SO4 plus 8H2O plus 10CO2. Okay, this is the reaction. 5H2C2O4 plus 2 KMnO4 plus 3 H2SO4. So here this oxalic acid, it is oxidized using potassium permanganate. See, potassium permanganate is a very good oxidizing agent. Okay. So oxalic acid, it is oxidized using potassium permanganate, and the products formed are manganese sulfate, potassium sulfate, water, carbon dioxide. Okay. So here during the oxidation, one of the product formed is manganese sulfate. Okay. So this manganese sulfate itself acts as a catalyst for the particular reaction. Okay. So this manganese sulfate, we can say it as an auto catalyst. Okay. So manganese sulfate is called as the catalyst. So what is autocatalysis? That means autocatalysis means when one of the products of a reaction, here it is manganese sulfate, when itself this manganese sulfate acts as a catalyst. So this reaction, it is called as autocatalysis. Okay, hope you are clear with these definitions. Then another term is there, that is the enzyme catalysis. Enzyme catalysis. Enzyme catalysis. So the catalyst, enzyme catalysis, from the term itself, it is understood that catalysis carried out in presence of enzymes, or catalysis which are done by enzymes, they are called as enzyme catalysis. So catalysis carried out by enzymes are called as enzyme catalysis. Example for enzyme catalysis, that is the inversion of cane sugar. Inversion of cane sugar, it is catalyzed. This reaction, it is catalyzed by the presence of an enzyme invertase. Okay, this reaction, it is catalyzed by the presence of an enzyme invertase. So here the enzyme present is invertase. The enzyme present here for this inversion of cane sugar is invertase. Okay. So the equation, that is C12H22O11 plus H2O in presence of the enzyme invertase. The products formed are glucose C6H12O6 plus fructose C6H12O6, glucose, then fructose plus the enzyme invertase. It is regenerated after the reaction. Okay, so this is enzyme catalysis. Then the next is characteristics of catalytic reactions. Characteristics of catalytic reactions. See, as you know, this catalytic reaction means the reactions which are carried out in the presence of a catalyst are called as catalytic reaction. And also some of the characteristic features. This is also an important question for seed part. Okay, for 4 marks question. So this characteristics or the criteria for catalysis, that means a catalyst, it should remain unchanged in mass and composition. Okay, the catalyst, it will remain unchanged in mass and composition at the end of the reaction. Unchanged in mass and composition at the end of the reaction. That means there will not be any change in mass or chemical nature after the reaction is completed. Sometimes this catalyst, it may undergo say physical change. A physical change may happen sometimes, but whatever it is, there will not be any change in mass as well as the composition, or there will not be any chemical reaction going on for this particular catalyst. Okay, suppose if we are adding 1 milligram of a catalyst into a particular reaction, after the reaction is completed, we will be obtaining that 1 milligram itself. There will be sometimes some physical changes may be happening there, but there will not be any change in the mass as well as the composition or the chemical bonding of that particular catalyst. Okay, so that is the first point. And also one example it is given in your textbook, that is granular manganese dioxide, MnO2, manganese dioxide. It is used in the oxidation of, it is used in the thermal decomposition of potassium chlorate. Thermal decomposition, that means decomposition in the presence of heat. So in the thermal decomposition of potassium chlorate, this granular manganese dioxide it is used. But at the end of the reaction, this granular means it will be this manganese dioxide, it will be in the form of granules. Okay, it will be tiny granules, and at the end of the reaction, this manganese dioxide it will be obtained as a powder after the end of the reaction. Okay, so the physical change may be happen there, but there will not be any change in the mass as well as the composition. Sometimes the form appearance will be changing, but there will not be any change in mass as well as the composition of that particular catalyst. So that is the first point, unchanged in mass and composition at the end of the reaction. Then the second point is that a very small quantity of catalyst is needed for a reaction, for a chemical reaction to carry out. Okay, a very small quantity of catalyst. A very small quantity of catalyst is required for a particular reaction. Sometimes for a very large quantity of reaction mixture. Okay, for a very large quantity of reaction mixture, a very small amount of catalyst is required. Okay, that means this catalyst, it will be that much powerful for a particular reaction, to enhance the reaction rate. Okay, and also at the final stage, what happens? The catalyst, it is not itself consumed, isn't it? The catalyst is it will be regenerated at the end of the reaction. That is another point. And also one example, that is benzene, C6H6, benzene plus chloromethane. This is methyl chloride, CCH3Cl. That means see here, this is methane, CH4, isn't it? Methane, CH4. See, one of the hydrogen, it is replaced by one chlorine atom. So this hydrogen, it is replaced by chlorine atom. So one carbon, 3 hydrogens, CH3, and this hydrogen replaced by chlorine. That is the methyl chloride, this compound. So benzene plus methyl chloride in the presence of aluminium chloride. Okay, the product formed will be C6H5CH3. The compound, it is toluene. Okay, toluene plus HCl. That means from benzene ring, one of the hydrogen, it is replaced. See, this is benzene, C6H6 plus CH3Cl. CH3Cl. So here at this point, see, one hydrogen is there. So this hydrogen, it is replaced by this chlorine atom, and the product will be formed as C6H5CH3. Okay, C6H5CH3. So here anhydrous aluminum chloride, it is acting as the catalyst. Okay, this functions as a catalyst. And also this anhydrous aluminum chloride, it is only about 30% of the mass of that of benzene. Okay, only 30% of aluminum chloride, 30% mass of aluminum chloride is used while comparing with that of benzene. Okay, so only that means for a very large reaction mixture, only a very small quantity of the catalyst is required. Then the next point, the third point is that, see, a catalyst, it should be always finely divided. Okay, catalyst should be finely divided. See, a finely divided catalyst will be more effective than when put in a bulk. Okay, finely divided catalyst will be more effective. That means, suppose if we are not powdering or finely dividing the catalyst, what happens is that the surface area will be decreased. It will be in the form of a solid, isn't it? It will be in the form of a solid. If it is in the solid form, what happens is that the surface area will be lesser. But at the same time, if we are powdering it to small, if we are powdering it, okay, what happens? The surface area will be increasing, and so what happens? As the surface area increases, the rate of the reaction will also increase. So usually, while we are adding a catalyst, it should be in the finely divided form. Okay. Then another example, the fourth point, that is, a catalyst should be specific in its action. Okay. a catalyst should be specific in its action. That means for a particular reaction, see, we have seen this nitrogen manufacture of ammonia, N2 plus 3H2 giving 2NH3, isn't it? See, here we are using iron as a catalyst in Haber's process. But this iron, it is specific for this particular reaction. Okay. At the same time, it may not be feasible for some other reaction. So for this particular reaction, iron is specific, or iron is used as a catalyst. But for any some other reaction, this iron cannot act as a catalyst. So that means this catalyst should be specific in its action. Okay. And also so see one more example. Another example, C2H5OH, that means ethyl alcohol, C2H5OH in presence of alumina, Al2O3. The product will be C2H4, that is CH2 double bond CH2, that is ethene or ethylene plus water. So this is a dehydration reaction in presence of alumina. Okay, dehydration means removal of water. So here one molecule of water is eliminated. That is from this C2H5OH, I will be writing like this, CH3, CH2OH. So from this one OH, and from this CH3 I am writing as CH2H. Okay, so from this carbon one hydrogen, and from this carbon one OH. So in total one molecule of water will be eliminated. Okay, so dehydration again. So here what happens, this bond will be this carbon will be getting a double bond in the in these two from these two valencies. Okay, so CH2 double bond CH2 plus H2. This is a dehydration reaction, and also dehydration means it is the removal of water. And again another reaction I am writing, C2H5OH in presence of copper. The product will be CH3CHO plus H2. So this reaction, this is a dehydrogenation reaction. Dehydrogenation reaction. Okay. So one is dehydration and the another one is dehydrogenation. For in dehydration we are using alumina, but in dehydrogenation we are using copper. But the reaction, the reactant are the same, isn't it? Ethyl alcohol. In both the cases we are using ethyl alcohol, but the catalyst used are different, and also we will be obtaining different products. See here it is dehydrogenation. Dehydrogenation means removal of hydrogen. D, the term D means removal. So removal of hydrogen. Here it is removal of water. Okay. So that is the fourth point. And then the next one, fifth point is that a catalyst cannot initiate a reaction. A catalyst cannot initiate a particular reaction. It can usually it can increase the rate of a reaction or it can decrease the rate of a reaction, but it cannot initiate a particular reaction. Okay, so it can speed up the reaction, but it cannot start a reaction. So that is another example. The next characteristic. And also see here, for example, hydrogen and oxygen at room temperature. Hydrogen and oxygen at room temperature, no reaction. Okay, but hydrogen and oxygen, 2H2 plus O2 in the presence of platinum gives water molecule. Okay. See, at room temperature, this it has got no reaction, but in the presence of platinum, in the presence of platinum, what happens? It will be converting into, it will be reacting to form water. That means in this case, see, this platinum or this catalyst, it can initiate the reaction. So some cases it will be exceptions that catalyst can initiate a reaction, but usually or generally we can say that a catalyst cannot initiate a reaction. Okay, so this is an exception for that particular characteristic. Okay, at room temperature both of these does not combine, but in the presence of platinum it will be combining to form water, and it is an exception. Then the next point, the sixth point, is that a catalyst, it does not affect the final position of the chemical equilibrium. Okay, a catalyst does not affect the equilibrium position. A catalyst does not affect the equilibrium position, but it shortens the time required for a reaction, isn't it? it shortens the time required for a reaction. So a catalyst does not affect the equilibrium position, but it shortens the time required for a reaction. That means it can see, while considering an equilibrium state, what happens is that it can increase the rate of the forward reaction, isn't it? This is the forward reaction and this is the backward reaction. So if while at the equilibrium condition, what happens, the rate of the forward reaction will be equal to the rate of the backward reaction. That means the equilibrium constant K remains unchanged, or it will be a constant, isn't it? Whether it is with the reaction is carried out with a catalyst or without a catalyst, the K will be a constant, but and also it does not affect the equilibrium position. That means it can shorten the time required for a reaction. Okay, so that is the 6th point. Then 7th point, change of temperature. Change of temperature alters the rate of a chemical reaction, isn't it? Change of or increase in temperature, change of temperature alters the rate of a chemical reaction. Similarly, if a reaction is carried out in the presence of a catalyst, what happens is that, and suppose we are supplying some heat energy or we are increasing the temperature, what happens, the rate of the reaction also increases. That is just like the first case, that is change of temperature. Normally a change of temperature increases the rate of a reaction, or increase of temperature increases the rate of a reaction. And if the same reaction it is carried out in the presence of a catalyst also, the increase in temperature increases the rate of a reaction. Okay, and also one more term is there, that is the optimum temperature. Optimum temperature means the rate of a reaction will be maximum at a particular temperature. Okay, rate of a reaction will be maximum at a particular temperature, and that particular temperature, it is called as the optimum temperature. Okay, so optimum temperature, how will you define? It is the temperature, the temperature at which the rate of a reaction will be maximum. That is called as the optimum temperature. So these are some of the characteristics of a catalyst. Okay, so first point is that a catalyst should be unchanged in mass and composition. Then the second point, a very small quantity of catalyst is required for a chemical reaction to take place. Then the third point, a catalyst should be finely divided. And then the next one, a catalyst should be specific in a reaction. Then the next point, it cannot initiate a reaction, but exceptions are there. This is the exception given in your textbook. Then the next one, it does not affect the equilibrium position. Then the last point, change of the catalyst, also in the presence of a catalyst also, a change in temperature alters the rate of a reaction, and thus optimum temperature, it is the temperature at which the rate of a reaction will be maximum. Okay, so this much is for today's session. Then in our next session we can see in some industrially important catalyst. Thank you.